Councilmember Kermali is going to lead us in the invocation. Then I'm going to invite some special guests up that are going to join us for the pledge. And then I'll introduce our special guests, and then we'll go through a special recognition. So at this time, Nishad, would you like to lead us in the prayer?
Thank you, Mayor. Please rise and join me as I pray. Dear God, as we gather here today, let me start by thanking you. Thank you for the many abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of good health, and for friendship. God, we ask that you keep all of our men and women in our armed forces, our police, fire, EMS safe and out of harm's way. As we enter these hot months, we ask that your guidance stays with us at all times. Please keep our residents who are on summer break and all the visitors to our city safe as well. Please guide our entire city council and our staff as we continue to work for the betterment of our citizens first. We ask that you continue to guide us along the right path and keep us under your protection and grace. In your name we pray. Amen.
And now I'm going to invite up our special guests, Miss Paisley Zaragoza Paisley, Miss Sydney Yeager, Miss Elizabeth Yeager, James Charles Yeager, Zach Yeager, Rachel Zaragoza. And then I had Chris Crowder and Kim Kuhn, but I guess they couldn't make it. So if you would help Councilmember Kermali with the pledge to the nation's flag, can y'all do that?
You ready? We're going to turn this way. Turn this way. You ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
from which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now join me in the Texas flag. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one indivisible.
You know, it wasn't very long ago that I got a special email. So you can imagine I get a lot of emails, and some of them we couldn't read here tonight. This one happened to be a real surprise, and it was Zach on behalf of Paisley, and I'm going to let Zach read the email to me, which is why we're here tonight, to recognize Paisley.
Dear Mayor Zimmerman, I hope this email finds you in good health and high spirits. I'm writing you today on behalf of my young sister, Paisley, who is 5 years old and loves Sugarland, but just found out that there is no actual sugar in Sugarland. At the tender age of 5, Paisley's innocence and enthusiasm have touched our hearts. She has requested me to reach out to you to inquire if it would be possible to rename Sugarland to Paisleyland as a symbol of her love for the town. While I could not resist sharing Paisley's adorable request with you, while I understand you cannot rename a city, I want to take a moment to bring a smile to your face and brighten your day with Paisley's innocent charm. Thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate your dedication to the community and your role as mayor. Warmest regards, Paisley and Zach.
Well, thank you, young lady. You did, in fact, bring not only a smile to me, but to everybody here. And while I couldn't rename Sugarland Paisley, I can issue a proclamation, which we've done. Paisleyland Day, Paisley Zaragoza, June 20th of 2023. Whereas Paisley Zaragoza, a cheerful 5-year-old girl who loves the city of Sugarland, was disappointed to recently find out there is no actual sugar in Sugarland. And whereas in addition to Sugarland, Paisley loves dogs, dancing, reading, and drawing, when she grows up, Paisley wants to become a veterinarian and a gymnastics teacher. And whereas the city of Sugarland appreciates her enthusiasm, love for our great city, and we were looking forward to seeing that same enthusiasm and love in hopes that Paisley may become the mayor of Sugarland, one day to guide our city through the next generation of challenges and opportunities and it's issued by my hand on behalf of City Council today. So, Ms. Paisley, this is your proclamation. Every once in a while, we do get to do some fun stuff, and this certainly was one of the most fun. So we're going to now ask anybody, we're going to go to the public comment section. Anybody that would like to speak on any of the agenda items that's not a public hearing is invited to come to the podium, name, address, and the item that you want to address council on. Anybody sign up? Move on to item number 3, the consent agenda. The consent agenda is going to be taken as one motion for all the items, unless a council member wants to pull an item, at which time we'll take the remaining items and then we'll have a brief presentation on the item that was pulled. Council members?
Motion approved.
Got a motion by Kamali, second by McCutcheon. We'll vote at this time, please. And it's a 6-0 vote, and for the record, council member, we have Councilmember Ferguson is not here tonight. We wish him well. He's in D.C. trying to straighten out our federal government, I hope. Item number 4, donations. 4A, consideration of an action on acceptance of a donation from the Cullinan Park Conservancy in the amount of $90,000 for construction ad alternatives for the Cullinan Park Improvements Phase 2 CIP CPK 2001 and authorization of a budget amendment in the amount of $90,000 to revenue and expenditures. We have Ms. Fingling Du, Parks Development Manager, Parks and Rec. Fingling.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Before I start, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize a few Cullinan Park Conservancy board members here with us tonight. We have
Would you all stand, please?
We have Mr. Keith Borgford. He's the president of Cullinan Park Conservancy. We have Ms. Carrie Schmidt and Mr. Rex Varn, and also and Monica, and also Ms. Susie Parker. Sorry, I couldn't see. They are amazing leaders of
Thank
our
you all.
community.
Thank you for what you do for Cullinan.
Thank you so much for being here. So, the city of Sugar Land annexed the Cullinan Park in 2016 under the interlocal agreement with City of Houston and the MOU with Cullinan Park Conservancy. Under these two documents, we established a great foundation for the park's improvements. Because of the partnership, we were able to complete the Phase 1 development in 2019 with the donation of $1.2 million from the Cullinan Park Conservancy. After that, the Conservancy funded the design and the construction for Phase 2 to add 75 parking spaces and 1.2 miles of trails. Last October, City Council awarded the construction contract to Millis Development and Construction. The construction is moving along very well. It's already 75% complete, and we expect it to be complete this summer in July. Today, we are including the donation we are discussing today. Colony Park Conservancy has donated approximately $2.8 million in total to Colony Park development. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the donation today. Last October, when the construction contract was awarded to Millis, there wasn't enough funding to cover all the alternates, which include the trash cans, the benches, and the trailhead monument. Last month, the Conservancy voted at their board meeting that they are going to fund all the elements so that the community can better enjoy Phase 2 when it is completed. And the $90,000 donation will include both cash and in-kind donations. Just as a very quick recap, Colony Park has been a growing regional destination since the annexation. The park visits have increased by 26% every year in the last 5 years. 38% of those visits are from Houston, 34% are from Sugar Land, and 38% from other cities or other states. The Parks and Recreation Department staff recommends that City Council formally accept the donation in the amount of $90,000 and extend the city's gratitude for the generous donation made by Colony Park Conservancy to the city of Sugar Land. With that, we are here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Fingling. For those of you that have maybe never visited Cullinan Park, it's almost the size of Memorial Park. It's a passive use park for birders. If you want to see alligators, we've got, I think there's even been tell of an eagle out there. I haven't seen one, but I mean, there's all kinds of birds and animal wildlife out there. And they've got a restroom, they've got great trails. The Conservancy Board's done a wonderful job of building what was a great asset into an even greater asset. Questions from the council members? Suzanne.
Sir, I don't have a question. I just want to congratulate you on what you've done out there. It continues to grow and become an asset to our city and the neighbors surrounding it. Sir, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Got a motion by Watley. Do I have a second? Got a second by McCutcheon. Any other comments from the council members? You vote at this time, please. And it passes 6-0. Thank you, Fingling.
Thank you.
A picture? Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, council members. Yeah, Mr. Picture. Especially if y'all came all the way up here. Get the board in front so they will stand behind the board. David, I thought we were glad to get you up here to organize everybody. All right. CC tells me we've got a nesting pair of bald eagles out there, so that's a fact. Item number 5, public hearings. 5A, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed conditional use permit for a 5,477 square foot animal services, boarding, and daycare facility, Dogtopia, located at the southeast corner of Highway 6 and Williams Trace Boulevard. We have Miss Jessica Eccles, our planner too. Jessica.
Hello, good evening. So this request is for a conditional use permit for an animal services boarding and daycare facility at the Williams Trace Plaza. The applicant is requesting the CUP in order to open a Dogtopia facility in the existing shopping center located at the southeast corner of Highway 6 and Williams Trace Boulevard. The proposed tenant space will be 5,477 square feet. It's going to be combining 4 existing tenant spaces. Dogtopia will offer 3 services at this location: boarding, daycare, and spa services. They are not proposing any outdoor play areas for the dogs. And during the retrofitting of the space, they are going to be constructing the walls with soundproofing insulation to mitigate any noise from the dogs. So Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on May 25th. No speakers were present during that meeting. The commission had questions for the applicant regarding business operations, including the proposed wall soundproofing techniques, and then had questions for staff for the public hearing notifications and how the conditional use permit would be applied to the parcel. The commission unanimously voted to recommend approval after holding the public hearing and are recommending approval of the conditional use permit. So this is the floor plan that was submitted by the applicant. As you can see, there are 3 playrooms. Along the walls are going to be crates for nap time and for boarding, and then they will also have a limited amount of suites as well for boarding, and then they will have a smaller spa service area. And then the bottom left is that wall demising detail that shows the soundproofing. And then this is a site plan of the shopping center. As you can see, the 4 existing tenant spaces are highlighted. That will be combined into the 1 space. So for the future land use map, this property is located in the market at First Colony NAC. The land use plan calls out the appropriate uses for this NAC to include a mix of retail, restaurants, offices, and residential, and therefore staff does not believe that the CUP is in conflict with the land use plan. All the public hearing notification requirements were met. Mailers were sent to owners within 200 feet of the property. A public notification was published in the newspaper and on the city's website, as well as a courtesy sign placed on the property. There was 1 general phone inquiry about the request after the caller saw the public notice sign on the property. After explaining what the request was, they were actually very excited about it, and staff is not aware of any opposition. And this is a map showing all those property owners within 200 feet that were sent the notification. And so staff and commission recommend approval of the ordinance number 2306, authorizing a conditional use permit for animal services, boarding, and daycare. And then the applicant, as well as some representatives from Dogtopia, are also available online to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. We're going to hold our questions until we open the public hearing. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing for anybody that would want to speak on this particular item. Anyone? Second call. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. First consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2306. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, granting a conditional use permit for an animal services boarding and daycare facility located at 3360 Highway 6, further described as 10.8490 acre. Portion of the 14.321 acre commercial reserve of Colony Grant, Section 1 of the southeast corner of Highway 6 and William Trace Boulevard within the general business B2 zoning district. At this time, we'll open it up to council members for any questions. Do I have a motion?
No, I have a question.
You have a question? Suzanne?
Thank you. This may be kind of a strange question. There is no green space for the dogs to exercise or relieve themselves. Is that correct?
That is correct. They are not planning to have any outdoor run spaces, which is not uncommon. They said during the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting that that's not uncommon for their practice.
So they basically have all that space inside the walls, and that's fine for animals?
Yes, the applicant is online. They can speak more to their cleaning protocol as well.
Okay, that was my only question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion? So moved. Got a motion by Councilman Stewart. I've got second by Gramali. Jacobson or Kamali, if you'll vote at this time, please. And it passes unanimously. Thank you, Councilmember. Item number B, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed rezoning for the existing 2.2509 acre Commerce Green Plaza located at the southwest corner of the intersection of US 90A and Commerce Green Boulevard. Aha, we have Miss Laura Waller, planning too. Laura.
Good evening. So this evening, we do have before you a rezoning. This is going to be for the existing Commerce Green Plaza development. It's just over 2.25 acres. It was originally developed in 2010 and is currently zoned business office. The proposed zoning that is before you tonight is a rezoning to B1, the neighborhood business. Originally, the applicant did request B2 to align with the other businesses that are there present along 90, but given the proximity to Al-Khair, staff did suggest the neighborhood business. So that is what is before you this evening. So this is the recorded plat just showing the property. It is located between Al-Khair Lake Drive, Commerce Green Boulevard, and then US Highway 90A along that front. So to the east, there is more general business. To the west, there is that estate, single-family residential, and then the south is the more business office. So therefore, that proposed zoning, staff did think to go with both what the built environment is as well as what the surrounding uses are. We did suggest the B1 neighborhood business, and that did get the property owner the allowed uses that he was looking for. The future land use map identifies this area as part of the regional activity center. The proposed B1 zoning is not in conflict with that map or with the surrounding areas. Because of the adjacency to that estate neighborhood, the land use plan does recommend smaller scale and less intense commercial uses. So we do think that this is an appropriate use there right at that border. P&Z Commission did hold a meeting or a public hearing on May 25th, at which no speakers were present. The applicant was present to answer questions regarding which uses were intended for the vacant lease spaces. And then staff did also provide a detailed rundown of the different land uses that are allowed in business office versus B1 and our B2 standard zoning districts. After that rundown, and all other questions were answered, the commission unanimously voted to recommend approval of the rezoning.
Bless you.
The public hearing requirements were all met. Public hearing sign was posted on site as well as mailers sent to those within 200 feet and online. We have received no inquiries at this time, and staff is not aware of any oppositions. Just for your reference, the notified property owners are highlighted here in the map in yellow, so that nearest neighbor in Al-Khair did also receive notice of the rezoning. And given that, staff and commission do recommend approval of the rezoning ordinance number 2309. And we're happy to answer any questions after the public hearing.
Thank you. Councilmember Jacobson, do you have a question? Or are you just playing with a water bottle up there?
I do have a question, which I'll be glad to ask after the hearing.
Okay. This time we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Hear all persons desiring to be heard. If you'll approach the podium. First call. Second call for anybody that'd like to speak on this item. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Councilmember Jacobson.
Thank you, Mayor. Laura, what exactly is a neighborhood business?
So neighborhood business is a lower intensity retail zoning district. It's our B1, so it's kind of halfway between BO and B2. Well, actually, it's not really a good comparison. So it's basically like a less intense B2. So it allows more services, things that people would want maybe along the edges of their neighborhood, grocery stores, salons, barbershops, things like that. Maybe an animal boarding facility with a CUP, miscellaneous retail, so grocery stores, different smaller scale things. Typically, you would see the uses that are allowed by right in B2 are allowed in B1 with a maximum square footage cap. So you get maybe the same amount of services and the same land uses, but they have less intense effect and less impact on the surrounding areas because of the maximum square footage.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Suzanne.
Laura, I know, is that the neighborhood area that they had the subway?
Yes, the subway is no longer active, but that is where there was a subway.
Okay, so a B2 definitely was Subway, but a B1, would that still be able to have a Subway or an eatery or any type of restaurant there, small scale?
So yes, restaurants would be allowed by right. Actually, the subway required a CUP in order to be able to go in there. So this would allow a restaurant by right up to 5,000 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Motion?
Mayor, this shopping center has been dead for a long time. It's got a Montessori in it, I believe, so this is a good move. I'd make the motion to approve.
Got a motion by Kamali. Suzanne, second. Watley, second. If you'll vote at this time, please. And it passes 6-0. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Item number 6, contracts and agreements. 6A, consideration of an action on authorization of amendment number 4 of the development agreement for Riverstone Development by and between the City of Sugar Land and Hillsborough Estates LLC, Sugar Land Ranch Development LLC, Sugar Land Ranch Development 2 Corp., Taylor Morrison of Texas, Inc., and Fort Bend Levee Improvement District number 15. Ms. Ruth Lomer,
Yes,
our
sir.
Assistant Director of Planning and Development Services. Ruth.
Yes, good evening. I'm actually going to do a presentation that's going to cover both the agreement and also the general land plan at the same time because they're tied together. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and read the general land plan or if you want to wait until you're ready to act on that.
No, let me go. I'll go ahead and read it, Ruth,
okay,
and then you
perfect.
can do both.
Great.
Item number 7, general land plan. 7A, consideration of an action on authorization of minor amendment number 11 to the Riverstone general plan. And then I'll take motions separately on A
Correct.
and, well, on 6 and 7.
Right. Yes, sir. Okay, great. Thank you. So we are here this evening to talk about the general land plan and the development agreement for Riverstone. We don't deal with general land plans a whole lot anymore, and so I just kind of wanted to do a very quick overview reminder of what they are and what purpose they serve. So it is part of the subdivision process established by Chapter 5 of the Development Code, the subdivision regulations. And it's intended to guide the development of subdivisions. So we have general land plans for all of our major developments, Telfair, Imperial, Riverstone, and they have all evolved and changed over time as those developments have changed. They basically give council and Planning and Zoning Commission the opportunity to review major thoroughfares, land uses, any environmental issues, relationships to adjoining subdivisions, and conformance with the comprehensive plan. So generally, these are for any properties that are 50 acres or more, they, like I said, will go through numerous iterations over time. So Riverstone, the original general land plan was approved in 2003. There have been thus far 10 amendments since then. It's 20 years, so it's not to be unexpected that we would have changes over that time. So the property that we're talking about this evening is located right here off of Cabrera Drive. So just to orient you, this is LJ Parkway, University Boulevard. There is existing a Kroger Center right here with some other fast food and other retail centers. So it's right on the other side of Cabrera Drive where this is currently commercial office. And the proposed amendment is to change that to urban patio homes. So it's only about 6 acres, a very small area, but they are proposing to change the land use. So this would be approximately 34 detached single-family urban homes. Urban homes are not defined in the subdivision regulations, and so the way that we address that is create alternative regulations through a development agreement. And so that's what I'm going to cover in a little bit more detail in just a second here. Also, private streets are also not allowed in the ETJ the way we, or in the city in the ETJ by right. In the city, the way we handle them is through the plan development process. In the ETJ, the way that we do that is through a development agreement. Looking at the comprehensive plan, the land use plan specifically, the future land use map does designate this area as either neighborhood activity center or suburban neighborhood, depending on exactly where the line gets drawn. But medium density single family, which is what we would consider urban homes, is consistent and appropriate for that area. And we also believe it's consistent with the goals for creating mixed-use activity centers and encouraging residential options, because this is a housing option that doesn't currently exist in Riverstone and actually doesn't exist kind of in that southern part of the city either. We did take the general land plan to the Planning and Zoning Commission and on April 11th, and they just had some clarifying questions regarding the draft regulations and the process for amending the development agreement, which they are not a part of. They also asked about the definition of urban homes and the distinction between a major amendment and a minor amendment for general land plans. And ultimately, they unanimously recommended approval of the general land plan. So now getting into a little bit more detail with the development agreement. Around the same time that there was the general land plan originally approved, the development agreement was originally approved also with Riverstone in February of 2003. There have been 3 amendments to the agreement since that time. Most of them have dealt with traffic and improvements to roadways, and then also to the number of MUDs in the development. But this particular amendment addresses establishing standards for that Cabrera tract development that I just described, allowing for those urban patio homes with a private street, and then also requires the annexation of a small portion of the tract, which I'll point out in just a second here, into the MUD prior to platting. And then finally addresses an ongoing traffic issue at the intersection of Commonwealth Boulevard and Austin Parkway, which I'm sure some of you are probably aware of. So as I mentioned earlier, it is about 34 detached urban homes, and these alternative regulations that are being established through the development agreement include things like typical bulk regulations, minimum lot size, width, depth, overall size, setbacks, lot coverage, building height, and then as I mentioned, a requirement that the property be annexed into MUD 128. So they have attached 2 different potential layouts. They're fairly similar, but the street, you can tell, is just a little bit different layout. And option 1, kind of, I don't know how to describe that, but the cul-de-sac is a little bit different, I guess. So the area that is not currently in the MUD is bounded by this little triangle here. If you can kind of see where my cursor is, I know it's probably kind of hard to see, I apologize, but there was this kind of rectangular or square area was originally not a part of the property that the Riverstone developer purchased. It was kind of an outtract of a drill site. So when they created the MUD, that property was not part of the MUD. Later on, the developer did acquire that site, but it was never actually annexed into the MUD. And so we do want to see them go ahead and bring that triangle piece into the MUD so that there's no strange boundaries as we, in the future, go to annex that property. The other primary item that's addressed is the off-site intersection improvements, as I mentioned, related to Commonwealth Boulevard and Austin Parkway. Amendment number 2 required that a traffic signal be installed at that intersection based on certain triggers. Those triggers have been met, and both parties agree that the level of service requires construction of some improvements. But we've determined that we'd like to evaluate whether that should be a traffic signal or whether a roundabout would be more appropriate. And so in this amendment, we have included a provision that the city will conduct a traffic study to determine whether a signalized intersection or a roundabout is what's needed there. And then the city will construct the improvements, and the developer will be responsible for paying for half the cost upfront prior to construction. So we do have a number of parties to this agreement, as I've listed off here. One of them is the LID, because they were party to a prior agreement. We are still working with the LID to get their signature, and so we are asking for you to approve this condition upon getting their signature before we finalize our signature after your approval tonight. And then just sort of a follow-up, we did review the terms of the development agreement with the IG committee back in May, and the group didn't express any concerns about the agreement. So with that, staff does recommend approval of amendment number 4 to the development agreement for the Riverstone development between the city and all the parties, conditioned upon receiving the LID 15 signature on the agreement. And so we'll start, I think, with the action on
This will be the action on the authorization of amendment number 4.
Right.
So, questions? Carol?
I thought originally the developer was going to be responsible for the cost of traffic control at Austin Parkway and Commonwealth. Was that the case or not? Or has it always been 50-50 with the city? So
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
nothing new in this.
Right.
Okay. And then we mentioned a private street. So if Riverstone is ever annexed into the city of Sugar Land, then the city would not maintain that street since
Correct.
it's private.
Right, they would still be responsible.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nisha.
The street Cabrera, is that right? Does it come behind the Kroger's? Is that how you
Yes.
access it? From behind the Kroger's?
Right.
Okay.
It makes a loop over from University up to LJ Parkway.
Okay. And what is the price range, if you know, for these homes? Any idea what they would run? Because a
do not.
35-foot lot, because they've got $2 million homes right across.
Right. No,
The-
and
the
they
water
were, I don't remember if anybody knows who was in.
I think someone's in the audience.
Would you like to come forward and answer the question? Do you know that? Yeah. Oh, you're here. Thank you. Sorry. I thought there was somebody over there. Please come forward. Thank you. Shall I introduce you?
Hi, my name is Jeff Sue. I'm with Soundswine Homes. I'm the builder. And the homes will be priced at $1.2 million and up.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Jacobson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Kermally. If you vote at this time, please. And it passes 6-0. Thank you, council members. Now we'll vote on the consideration and action on minor amendment number 11 to the Riverstone General Land Plan. Questions of staff? Got a motion by McCutcheon. Do I have a second? Second by Watley. You vote at this time, please. And it passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, Ruth. Item number 8, City Council City Manager reports. 8A, council member reports. Suzanne, let's start with you.
Okay. We had our last meeting, and then Carol and I had painted bowls for empty bowls back in, May? And that was quite an experience. But those bowls were put up for auction at Empty Bowls. Eastport Bend Human Needs had their event on June 9th. And they raised $290,000 at that event, and we were happy to go with that. Nishad and Norman joined us, and it was a great event, so congratulations to Empty Bowls. And then the next day, I think everybody was there. Nishad was there, our mayor was there, Carol was there, Stuart was there. Weren't you there, Will? Stuart? William was there when we went to open the ribbon cutting for Lizzie Fletcher. Lizzie Fletcher has a new congressional office on Highway 6 in Sugar Land. Not quite my district, almost my district. But we welcome her congressional office here, and we are happy to say that she's doing a great job for all of our constituents. And welcome to Sugar Land, Lizzie Fletcher.
Thanks, Suzanne. Carol.
I attended the Women for Women coffee with the SLPD, so thank you, Chief Davis, and all involved on that. And also attended Food Truck Friday at Memorial Park, and it was a lot of fun. And in spite of the fact there was a 108-degree heat index, it was extremely well attended. So great job by staff. And then I was honored for my contribution to cultural heritage arts at the Sri Ashtalakshmi Temple, and I was given a title of Kalai Vani Kalai Ratna.
Thank you, Carol. Stuart.
Thank you, Mayor. Along with everybody else from council, I attended the Fort Bend County Mayor and Council Members Association last Thursday, and it was quite a great success.
Nisha.
Most have been said, but the one that has not, Suzanne and I attended the State of Higher Education put on by our Fort Bend Chamber, which always does really great work in getting the word out. University of Houston, Houston Community College, and TSTC were there. What was interesting is some of y'all know that I'm a nurse by profession, and I got my associate's degree from Houston Community College. But right here in Fort Bend County, Houston Community College is now going to be offering a 4-year bachelor's program as well. So that was very nice to hear. That's it.
That's great. Jennifer.
Mine's already been covered, Mayor.
Mine's already been covered. The only thing I'll mention is we had a chance, Yasmin, Nancy, and I had a chance to host the Montessori School for a baseball game. I would remind everybody that on July 4th, we've got the red, white, and boom. It'll be a big deal coming up. Mike, item number 8B.
Mayor, you just stole my report.
Well, there we have it right there, Mike. Got a motion to adjourn by McCutcheon at 6:10 p.m.